Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name's Katie. So today's video is going to be another one brand look. I'm wanting to do more one brand looks on my channel, so I recently did a Revolution one. I'll put a card up for that video, but the next brand I'm going to do is L'Oreal. So I was planning on actually boycotting L'Oreal just because I found out recently about the situation with Monroe Bergdorf. Put some links below to kind of more information about that situation, but I kind of didn't want to support them after that. But then recently they have actually reached out to her and apologised, and I think she's got some new role in the company now, so it seems like the situation's actually been addressed. Today we're just going to talk about their makeup products because I have got enough to do a full face with, and I do think in terms of quality they are one of the best like affordable makeup brands out there. They have a lot of my favourite products. So let's get straight into this. I've not practiced this look or anything, so I'm making this all up completely as I go along. So I'm going to start with eyeshadow. So I need a base. The concealer I have from L'Oreal is the Infallible Morphin concealer. This is in the shade Porcelain, I think. I like this concealer, but I prefer the e.l.f. concealer personally. I just find this one's a little bit more drying, which I know a lot of people say the opposite, that they find this one more hydrating than the e.l.f. one, but I guess on my skin it just doesn't work that way. The shade is a little bit lighter than me, so this is the only concealer I have from L'Oreal. So I guess I'm going to have to just highlight my blemishes then when we get to that point. And I have really got a lot of blemishes because I am been breaking out for the last 3 months. Okay, and for powder, I've got the L'Oreal Infallible Loose Magic Powder. I just bought a new one, that's why I've got two, because this one has got like, I don't know, maybe I'll have enough to set my eyes with this. I can see like a tiny bit in there. If I'm buying a powder twice, that's when you know I like a product, because I feel like because I try so many new products, I very rarely actually get around to rebuying old ones. But yeah, this is definitely one of my favourite powders, especially from the drugstore. I think it's about $8.99, so super affordable. I just find that it's lightweight, doesn't separate under my eyes. The only kind of minor issue I have with this powder is sometimes my bronzer and highlighter doesn't show up as like intensely with it. Like it shows up, but just not to its maximum potential. It's got a blue tint to it, but I find that it is basically translucent. I feel like all skin tones should be able to use this. So I'm just going to set that concealer down. Eyeshadow, I've got this palette. This is the I Go Wild Eyeshadow Mega Palette. I think it's a pretty recent release from them. I was originally intending on using this in my first impressions, but then I decided I was going to boycott L'Oreal, so I didn't get to use it in that video. I've used a couple of the transition shades in my full face testing Kiko video. I did have some transition shades on before I started the video because I was just using single eyeshadows in that video. But other than that, I've not really had the chance to play around with this properly, so I guess that's what we're going to be doing in this video. Obviously it's got a lot of like warm neutrals in it, some really nice shimmers. I think it's a really nice colour scheme. I feel like it's just a sort of like perfect like glam sort of palette. Obviously it's not got loads of bright rainbows in it, but I feel like it's just got everything you need for like simple like glam looks. I'm going to start with this lightest transition shade up here. It's just a very pale brown shade. I'm just going to start by working that above the crease. Okay, next I think I'm going to use this more yellowy toned brown shade. This one here. And work that underneath. And I think I'll use this more reddy toned browny colour here. Put that on in the same sort of area. Okay, and then I think I will add a bit of this darker plummy sort of shade and put a bit of that in the outer third. But in terms of like the matte shades, I've not really got any complaints. They're pigmented, they blend well. They don't even have that much fallout. I mean, I don't personally care about fallout, but I know for some people it is a factor. But I feel like there's literally like a tiny bit of fallout there, but other than that, not a lot of fallout. So I feel like the mattes are good quality, definitely. So I'm going to go back to the Infallible Morphin concealer, and I'm going to do a cut crease. I'll do one eye at a time. Okay, now there's a lot of really pretty looking shimmers in here, so I'm really spoiled for choice for what to put over this cut crease. I think I'm gonna start with the kind of whitey silvery toned one here and put that over the kind of inner part. And I really want to use this one here, which I feel like there's a lot of different reflex in this. I would say it's mostly pink. I'm going to use that next to the white. And I think I'll use this more darker bronzy shimmer in the outer third. I'm going to use the same white shimmer I started with under my brow bone. Okay, I'm just gonna repeat the same thing on the other eye off camera. Okay, so that's the eyeshadow done. Nothing particularly complex, very just simple glam look, I guess. Definitely would recommend this eyeshadow palette. I think it's really good. I think the shimmers are stunning. The mattes work really well. If you're into this sort of colour scheme, I definitely would recommend it. I can't remember the price. I think it's probably like about £15 or something like that. So not too bad considering the quality is like really good in my opinion. So for eyeliner in the waterline, I've got the L'Oreal Le Liner Signature in 01 Noir Cashmere, which again, I meant to use this in my first impressions, but I didn't. I've used it a couple times. It's okay. I feel like there are more pigmented ones out there. They do have like a just straight up normal like kohl kajal eyeliner, but and I definitely have tried that at some point, probably like years ago, but I have no memory of like if it's good quality or not, but I mean that is out there. So I'm just going to put this in my top and bottom waterlines. Like it's definitely not bad. Like it shows up, as you can see. I've not tested the wear on it properly yet. I mean, to be fair, it does actually work pretty well. Like it's definitely pigmented. I feel like I've just found slightly more dramatic ones, but I feel like it's actually like a pretty good eyeliner. I have a liquid liner from L'Oreal. I know they do have a lot of them, and I have no idea what the quality of them's like. I think maybe at some point I will buy a liquid liner from L'Oreal. So we're going to move on to mascara. So I've got the X Fiber False Lash one. I repurchased this recently. I had tried it before, probably about 2 years ago. And there was honestly loads that I could have repurchased because in my opinion L'Oreal is definitely like probably the best drugstore brand, to be honest, full stop brand when it comes to mascaras. I think they do mascaras really well, definitely. It's definitely like loads of them that I'd recommend. Obviously this one I think is really good. The Miss Manga ones, the Miss Baby Doll ones, the Infallible one, the Telescopic one, that's a really good one. And there's definitely a few more that I can't remember, but yeah, they do loads of really good mascaras. The only mascara I've tried from that I didn't fall in love with is the Bambi one. I still got that in my collection, but I feel like it's almost dried up now. I still liked that mascara as well. It wasn't bad. I just feel like that was my least favourite one. But almost all of the other ones I've tried I've kind of fallen in love with. So when it came to repurchasing, I could have gone for anything really, but I thought I had to try this one. Obviously a double-ended one. So you start with the hourglass side and then add on the other side, and it has got like fibres in it. But I think it works really well. So I'm just going to apply these. I'm just going to apply this to my top eyelashes. Okay, so moving on to base. For primer, I've got the Infallible Magic Essence Drops, which are these little blue boys. I don't really have any strong opinions about this. It's just an okay primer. I didn't declutter it when I did a recent declutter, so I guess that's something in its favour. I mean, I'm not entirely sure what it does, but you know what? It doesn't do anything bad. So there you go. I'm just going to apply this all over. It feels quite hydrating and I feel like it leaves a bit of tack on the skin, which is nice. So I'm going to let that settle into my skin before I put foundation on. So of course, for foundation, I'm going to be using the Infallible Fresh Wear. This is probably my favourite all-time foundation, definitely one of them, if not the. It's got a sort of semi-matte finish. It's not super drying, but it doesn't make you look like an oil slick either. Coverage is like a sort of high-medium coverage, and it also just lasts incredibly well. It just kind of ticks all of the boxes for me. I recently bought the shade 400 Pearl, which you can't get in Boots or Superdrug in the UK, but you can get it off of Amazon or eBay. You will just have to pay a little bit more. I think I ended up spending about £14 on it, which is not bad considering originally it's $9.99, so it's only about a £5 or more. But obviously there are a lot of different listings for it, so I would say search until you can find a cheaper one. That is if you have got pale skin and you find 15 porcelain doesn't work for you. I do feel like the pearl one is actually a tiny bit light for me, so we'll just put like a tiny bit of 15 porcelain in with it. Scrap that, I'm just going to use the pearl shade because my porcelain one seems to be empty actually. I mean, it's only slightly too light. It's pretty accurate though. Absolutely adore this foundation. So back to the more rounded concealer. Obviously this is a little bit too light for me, so obviously it works great for brightening under the eyes, but I've got blemishes I need to cover, so unfortunately they are going to have to be covered with slightly brightening concealer, but I guess that's better than nothing. Actually maybe nothing's better, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Yes, I am definitely looking a little bit too pale now, but that's kind of my life story. Okay, so setting powder, we're going to go back to the Infallible Magic Loose Powder. As I said earlier, really like this powder, and I personally am very picky when it comes to powders. I do struggle to find good ones, and this is definitely a really good one. So I'm going to set my whole face down with this. Okay, so moving on to cheeks, I'm going to start with bronzer. So this is the L'Oreal True Match Super Blendable Powder in the shade Golden Beige. Looks like this. Obviously this isn't meant as a bronzer, it's like a setting powder, but it works super well as a bronzer. On my skin tone, this shade does. It's got a more sort of like yellowy tone to it, which I personally quite like in bronzers. Obviously because it's meant as a setting powder as well, it is more kind of like a lightweight, buildable sort of formula, which is exactly what I like in bronzers. So if you can find this powder in a shade a bit darker than your skin tone, then definitely give it a go as a bronzer. I really like it. It's actually one of my favourites in my collection. So I'm just going to pop some of this through my cheeks, on my forehead, etc. because I'm looking very ghostly right now. Now I don't actually own a blush or a highlighter from L'Oreal. I mean, blush for me is sort of an optional thing anyway, but highlighter isn't really optional for me. They have like a few liquid highlighters and some like palettes as well, but L'Oreal definitely needs to come out with some like single powder highlighters. Definitely that is what they are missing in my opinion. I think what I'll do is I'll just take one of the like white shimmery shades in the eyeshadow palette, get like quite a small brush and attempt to use that to highlight with, because highlight is not optional for me. I think I'll stick with the same one that I used over my lid. Get a small brush and hope this works. I mean, it sort of works. I mean, it worked good like nose cubes with chin. I mean, it will do. It will do as a highlight. Okay, so moving on to eyebrows. These are both new in my collection. So I've got the Plump and Set Brow Artist in 108 Dark Brunette, and then I've got their Skinny Definer Brow Artist also in Dark Brunette. And these are another two products that I was going to use in my first impressions, but I didn't, obviously, because I was boycotting L'Oreal. I have used these quite a bit so far, just for work and stuff. I'm not sure what to think about both of these really. I do find that the brow gel, it does have quite a bit of excess. It's not terrible. I found brow gels with way more excess than this, but it's definitely a lot more than what my favourite brow gels produce. The colour works pretty good though, and I like the shape of the wand. I'm just going to brush this through my brows. I mean, it works okay, but I don't feel like it's becoming a favourite for me. I have found that sometimes when I use this micro brow pencil over the top of this, it congeals a bit and goes a bit like bumpy, like I get little Like I get little like balls of like congealed brow product. We'll see if that happens this time. I definitely think I should probably give this brow pencil a try out with a different gel, just to see if it is like, just because it might be a problem with this particular gel and not the pencil. But I'm going to just use this to add a bit more definition. Yeah, it's definitely still doing it. It's just like, it just all sort of like clogs up together. I don't know if you'll be able to see, particularly in like the arch and the outer part. I don't know if it's the pencil or if it's the gel that's causing the problem. But well, that's the thing, I'll try and like brush through it to fix it, and it doesn't really fix it, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I mean, they're okay brows. They definitely feel like brows maybe isn't the strongest part of L'Oreal. I'm gonna go for this more goldy shimmer shade and use that in my inner corner. So I think I'm just gonna use the same transition shades I used earlier. So I'll start with this one here, and then I'll probably use a mix of these two underneath that, just on my lower lash line. Gotta go back to the plummy maroony shade and press that closer to the lash line. Okay, and I'm gonna add some more mascara to my bottom lashes. So for lips, I've got the Colour Riche Ultra Matte Bullet Lipsticks. I've got No Prejudice and No Shame. One's a nude, one's a vampy shade. I'm gonna go for the nude today. I bought these a couple months ago. I have spoken about them on my channel recently. These are okay, but they're definitely not my favourite bullet lips. Mainly because they're not matte, and they're called ultra mattes. So why aren't you ultra matte? They're more sort of a semi-matte kind of formula. So I'm gonna use the nude shade and just apply this. Shade is definitely really nice, and I think if you kind of want a lipstick that's a bit more hydrating, then it's fine. But personally, I'm just into more of a straight up matte formula. Okay, so that's all the makeup applied, so I'm going to sort my hair out, clean up any mascara mess, and I'll be back. Okay, to finish off, I am just going to use a bit of the L'Oreal Shake and Glow Illuminating Setting Spray. I find that sometimes this does leave dots on my face, sometimes it does it, sometimes it doesn't. So I have sort of mixed thoughts on this, but I'm going to just have a spritz of this all over. It didn't seem to leave any weird dots that time, so that's good. Gives you like a tiny bit of dew, but I don't feel like it does anything extraordinary personally in my skin. Okay, so this is my completed full face of L'Oreal. I think overall it turned out pretty good. The only thing I'm not really liking is my eyebrows. I just went and looked at them in the bathroom mirror, and it's just like all the product is just congealed and weird looking. I feel like my skin looks super like blurred and like poreless in the bathroom mirror though, so skin I think looks good. Maybe a tiny bit too pale, but otherwise really good. So when it comes to L'Oreal, my favourite products that I'd 100% recommend, definitely the Infallible Fresh Wear Foundation, probably my favourite foundation. The Magic Loose Setting Powder, one of my favourite setting powders. I think the eyeshadow palette is actually really good quality. It is newer to my collection, but so far I'm impressed with it and would recommend it. Pretty much all of their mascaras I would recommend, but this 5-1 definitely is really good. I mean, I just look at those eyelashes, they are super dramatic. And the True Match Super Blendable Powder I would 100% recommend as a bronzer. So that's it for this video. I'm not sure what the next one brand look I will do is. Possibly Maybelline, e.l.f. maybe, I don't know. If e.l.f. releases a new foundation, then I'll definitely do e.l.f. because I feel like the foundation that they have at the moment I'm not the biggest fan of. But if they come out with like a new foundation that I feel like suits my preferences, I'll definitely do a e.l.f. one. But thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Goodbye.